Okay guys, we've got 25 minutes on there, so this is going to be a whole audio book, but this is going to be multiple videos again. This is really scary doing this stuff, you guys, only because the thing is it's new and you don't know who's watching, and there's things called jobs and things like that, and so I don't want to I think it's just good to put it out there so people can take note of all these things, but at the same time I don't want to hinder my employment and stuff like that. So yeah, things to keep in mind. But when you're faced with repeat situations, you got to try something new. And so yeah, I used to talk to the people I had issues with and the bosses, and I used to talk to all sorts of stuff, but this is new. And this hasn't got anything to do with it. But that's the thing that worries me, but that my employers might see it and go, oh, but then they might see it might be helpful. So I don't know what's going to happen. So I'm just going to do it anyway. Right. It's already been a minute, and this has got about 14 pages, so this has only got 24 minutes left, so 23 now. Nearly. Stop my mansplaining, and I'll try and be more, forthright. Why God allows autism. Chapter 1. Why have I been created this way? Why have I been created this way? Every being has a purpose or more. Just remember, I just write it and then I just keep writing and finish off the book, and then I read it to you guys like this. So, every being has a purpose or more. But the multiple purposes all intertwine. I grew up my whole entire life thinking that I was dumb and incapable. And maybe I was. I don't know. But then yet again, if I am incapable, then how come I became fully independent, which I wasn't supposed to? That's what many teachers, church authorities, my parents and some doctors told me anyway. But I've overcome the odds in those things. They also told me that I was too dumb to graduate high school, but I did. And then I got a bachelor's degree in Māori studies and a national certificate in youth studies. They told me that I was never going to be able to get and hold employment. But I did. I held 2 different jobs in 2 different time frames for 3 years each. They told me I wouldn't, and when I left those jobs, I left one because I wanted to try something new, because that was my first time having a job all year round. Because I was always pushing for employment, but I didn't succeed till I was like 27. But I was pushing since I was a teenager, and I left that one after 3 years to see if I could be successful at something else. So I went from the tannery to a factory, and I held that for 3 years, and then I wanted to move to a new region. So now it's like I'm looking for something permanent. I held 2 different jobs in 2 different time frames for 3 years each. They told me I wouldn't be physically able, but I played rugby for 10 years, rugby league for 5 years, and I've done various martial arts over the past 6 years. There's been a number of other things that I have broken through as well. I can tell when people are talking about me to other people in a positive way, or if they are saying negative things about me to other people behind my back. I've also broken through, I've known that since like ages ago, but I now just trust my instincts. Have done for years. I have also broken through the whole not being able to understand other people's emotions, body language, and facial expressions. I also understand my own emotions. I just find it hard to know who to trust and who I should let my guard down to. Because a lot of people, not all, but a lot act like they're your friend and can be trusted when in fact they're not. And they can't be trusted. Because us high-functioning autistics are generally like an open book. However, over the years, we often experience copious amounts of betrayal and don't want to become the very things we hate. Snakes. And we don't have time for people who have betrayed our trust. William Shakespeare said that the world is a stage and everybody plays their part. Well, in many instances, this is true. But what a tragedy to miss out on all the genuine people you would meet if you got out there. So getting out there is the best option. And to all you younger generation of autistics, yes, I know I'm old. I'm old by your guys' standards. But I'm not old. I'm 34 years old. So I'm getting old physically. But I got a whole lot more breakthroughs to attain before I stagnate. And then all you young autistics can come and surpass me in every single way. Now, I write down my laughter and stuff, but I was laughing when I wrote it. So, you know. And you know what? I cannot wait for that day. I cannot wait for the days when being fully self-sufficient, working and maintaining full-time employment, graduating high school, having friends, being physically strong and able, and having and maintaining a strong romantic relationship is the norm for all people on the autistic spectrum. So why am I created this way? Well, although it is a different perspective than what I had in my childhood and my teenage years, it is also different from this perspective I had in my early adulthood. It is. My purpose is to overcome all the barriers that I was told that I would never break, and to become a living testimony and a living, breathing source of inspiration and encouragement to all those who are fighting and have fought and will fight the barriers that I have overcome and will overcome. I feel prompted to write this. Ecclesiastes 3, Ecclesiastes 4, Psalm 3, Psalm 4, Proverbs chapter 3, and Proverbs chapter 4. Go read it. Go and read it. It's awesome. See, this is still going. Still going. A number of astronomically huge things have happened within my psyche. Many years ago, I came to the conclusion that anger is not a sin. It's a human emotion. Proverbs chapter 6, verse 16 through to 19. These 6 things does the Lord hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. A heart that devises wicked imaginations. Feet that are swift. Feet that be swift in running to mischief. A false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows division amongst the brethren. What really confuses me about God, though, is why did I have to suffer all my whole entire life, struggling with unemployment, people hating me because I follow God? Also, the whole girlfriend thing. Whilst all these other Christians and all these other whilst God hated me for some effing reason, I don't know why. Some fucking reason. Guys, it's got swearing in this one, okay? So just letting you know, if kids are watching, it's got swearing in it. Especially in chapter 5. I followed his every command. I didn't kill anyone else like the characters in the Old Testament, but you know, I followed the 10 commandments to the letter. I paid my tithes. I didn't have sex until I started questioning Christianity. In my mind, I'd walked away, but really, I still love Jesus, and I still love Jesus. And I started questioning things outside the confines of the Bible. I was thinking that the Bible didn't represent reality, but actually it does. Because Jesus said, if the world hates you, please remember it hated me first. I just think that being tortured in a lake of fire for all eternity is a bit extreme. And I also believe that anger, depression, frustration, confusion, and other negative human emotions are just that. Negative human emotions. And negative is not bad. It's just not positive. It's not very productive. But it is human. And it is okay. And it is normal, and it is acceptable to have negative emotions. Negative emotions are not demons. We are surrounded in darkness. The planet is surrounded by darkness. And I think that this reflects in the attitudes, words, and actions of a lot of people in this world. That's why Jesus said that we are not of this world. Also, I believed that autism was either a disease that Jesus would eventually heal or a demon I would be delivered of. It's only been the past couple of months that I have come to accept my autism. The traits never went away. I just thought that they had gone away. But they hadn't. I had just deluded myself. And although the God of the Old Testament, and from how I was trained, the God of the Bible not only changed his mind on a frequent basis and sometimes sent out his angel of death and put a lying spirit into the mouths and hearts of God, of the enemies of God's people. Hang on, let's go turn the light on. Maybe that pause was... Sorry. I'll start mansplaining as a habit, so I do what I'm thinking. One of the many, so lucky I usually leave that for home well. Yeah, so even though he did these things, he only changed his mind when he planned to bless Israel, but they turned against him. Whilst Odin and Norse myth didn't have an issue with lying so he could gain the trust of the other gods, goddesses, giants, and the like in order to get the information of the warriors that he required in order to prepare himself and the other gods for Ragnarok. In the Bible, God rules and reigns for all eternity. But to me that sounds like a divine dictator, which is a fictitious creation that has come from the hearts of men. The desire for the big boss to lead the way. However, there is safety and security in the fact that you are guaranteed to win and succeed if you follow his plans. But yet again, it's not because it's all a part of his divine plan. But yet again, it's all a part of his divine plan if you fail. I admire the warrior quality in Odin, that he sacrificed himself for himself. Translation, he put in the hard yards himself and didn't rely upon anybody. However, on the other hand, it talks about the web of weird and how you can change the past and thus change your future by doing certain spells. But I've always believed that the past is the past. But it doesn't mean that it didn't happen, and it doesn't mean that you can change the consequences of your actions. It also speaks the idea that all of the gods, goddesses, and demigods are good and bad at the same time, meaning they all have positive and negative attributes. Now, I want to follow a good God who takes care of his people. However, the God of the Bible always guarantees the victory of his people, but sometimes changes his mind due to the fact that his people were not listening to his every command. This unfortunately reminds me of an abusive, toxic family dynamic with an abusive parent that just wants to control your every move. But then yet again, if you have a pure heart, you will see God. If you have a pure heart, you will be following the 10 Commandments without even thinking about it. Maybe not the first one, but certainly all of the rest. Another thing is that when I was following the God of the Bible, my life was tough. It still is, but why does the Bible talk about how God loves to humble his people? Well, people who have autism don't need to be humbled, because we all have a whole bunch of extra struggles when it comes to our bodies, our emotions, expressing ourselves through our body language, and expressing ourselves through our facial expressions. However, we understand and get and love each other's company. It just is so annoying and depressing and aggravating and frustrating and confusing because society doesn't get us, and this affects our employment and relational opportunities, amongst other things. Things are getting better in regards to the understanding that Western society has about autism. It has improved towards us and about us, and hopefully that will improve employment and relational opportunities for autistic people who are striving to improve themselves. On the other hand of things, the Bible shows us many ways that God likes to take note of all the specific details in all of his creation. And autistic people are detail orientated and love getting into the specific details of things. And we are very detail orientated and love to do the things correctly and with high quality. Also, the Bible says that we are fearfully and wonderfully made, and